What is up, guys, and welcome back to Harry's Gameverse. Today, we're talking about genuinely, I believe, is one of the greatest first-person shooters ever made, and honestly, one of the last games that truly made me stop and appreciate what gaming could achieve. Because when we talk about the greatest Battlefield games, you'll often hear Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Bad Company 2, and rightly so. They're all incredible games. But for me, Battlefield 1 sits right up there with the very best the franchise has ever produced. This wasn't just another multiplayer shooter. This wasn't just another yearly release. This was a game that somehow managed to educate players, immerse players, and entertain players all at the same time. Nearly 10 years later on, nothing has come close from Battlefield to matching what Battlefield 1 has achieved. So let's talk about why Battlefield 1 was a masterpiece. And in the background here, you're seeing some footage of the war stories. This is one of the early ones through Mud and Blood. And just the opening bit here, you see him looking at his hands, and the fact it switches straight into, war and the blood and the fire around him. It's such an empowering and overwhelming opening to the game. And what I'm going to do shortly is I'm just going to go quiet and I'm going to let the game take over, and you're going to listen to the different musical horns and noises, everything going on. And this is why I think Battlefield captured World War One in such an epic and stunning way that no game has ever come close to, and I don't think any game will ever come close to again, with such a sensitive topic as well. So let me just let the game do its little bit of noise now.
Boys. Whoa, no, don't swear. She does not like it when you swear. Finch. You've done this before.
Done what before?
Mind your business with manners. Listen, don't worry. She'll look after you, yeah? All right, boys.
This is the big one. Our orders are to punch through the German line, destroying artillery positions as we go. Finch.
Yes, sir.
After that, we'll advance on the French town of Cambrai, where I have been assured there is wine, women, and song. So you should enjoy that.
Ah, man, it's wine. Jesus. Are we in safe hands or what, boys?
All right, my lads. Remember, boys, do your jobs, take care of each other. Big Bess will take care of you.
May the Lord have mercy on our souls.
We'll get through this together, right, Edwards?
Right, sir.
Full ahead, driver!
I genuinely think this is what makes Battlefield one of the best Battlefield games. The atmosphere. It's what separates it from every other Battlefield game. No shooter before or since has captured that feeling of war quite like Battlefield 1. The sound design alone deserves an award. Artillery exploding, bullets cracking overhead, whistles blowing, distant screams, aircraft engines roaring above you, and all of that with the sombersome tone of the horns. That opening there, it will sit with me forever, and I think it will sit with a lot of you guys watching this as well, just of how, awe-inspiring this game was, and the fact that it managed to capture how big this was. Remember, this was probably one of the first, mass news reported, mass everything war going on. Newspapers were a thing. It was a world war. It wasn't just, your inter-country wars that had been up until this point. You've got mechanized vehicles. Can you imagine being in the trenches and seeing a mechanized tank rolling towards you and thinking, what is that? And this game captured it. It genuinely made you feel like you were terrified in the trench. And as I said, the music, it was a soundtrack that managed to be emotional, heroic, and tragic all at the same time. Every major moment felt bigger because of it. Every victory felt earned. Every defeat felt painful. The game constantly reminded you this wasn't just a battlefield. This was war. And it goes a lot to the war stories for me. Before we touch on the multiplayer, we have to talk about the campaign, or more specifically, as I mentioned, war stories. And honestly, I think this is one of the smartest decisions DICE ever did. Instead of following one generic soldier throughout a single campaign, they decided to tell multiple stories from different perspectives throughout the First World War. And from the very beginning, Battlefield 1 hits differently. Most shooters open with you being the hero, the chosen one, the unstoppable soldier, this guy who's going to save the day. Battlefield 1 doesn't do that. The opening mission actively tells you that you're probably going to die, and you do, over and over again. As each soldier falls, another takes their place. For the first time in a long time, a shooter made death feel meaningful. You realise very quickly this war wasn't about heroes, it was about survival. And then when you get stories like Through Mud and Blood, which is what you're seeing in the background here, it honestly remains one of my favourite Battlefield stories ever. You have this ragtag crew trying to survive impossible odds while pushing through enemy territory. The atmosphere is incredible, the dialogue feels natural, the characters actually feel human, you connect with them on an emotional level, you start caring about these people. And when bad things happen to them, it actually matters. It's not just another cutscene, it's emotional. And it's something that modern Battlefield and modern shooters have completely failed to recreate. The war stories weren't perfect, but they were memorable, and that's what matters. Even today, I can remember moments from Battlefield 1's campaign. I can't say the same about many other shooters like that. That capturing of just the scale of this. As I mentioned, this was, spread across continents. It wasn't just an inter-country war. It wasn't just, a couple of countries going at it. This was multiple countries across multiple different continents fighting against each other. It was televised, wrote about. Obviously, then we started to see footage coming out of it as well, captured from in the trenches later on in life. And they've respected it. They haven't just gone, oh, we're just going to go over the top. We're going to completely ignore source material. We're going to get rid of everything. We're going to stick to exactly what we know, what we've seen. And what they do as well is they tell you a story. Each story that you start playing through, it tells you what's happening, what's going on. It makes gaming educational. And obviously people might go, oh, I don't want to learn stuff while I'm playing video games. But I think when it comes to a subject like World War One, I think it's a subject that people need to know about, people need to learn about and understand what actually happened. Because, without people putting their lives on the line, both in World War One and World War Two, the country and the world would be completely different today. The visuals in this game, look how good this game looks today. This game released years and years ago, yet there are still moments where it looks better than games releasing nowadays. The lighting, the weather effects, the destruction, animations, everything looks incredible. And unlike some modern games that chase realism at the expense of art direction, Battlefield 1 blended both perfectly. The game looked beautiful, but it never forgot what it was depicting, one of history's most horrific conflicts. One thing Battlefield 1 did brilliantly was keep things simple. There weren't endless battle passes, there weren't thousands of cosmetics, there weren't 50 different menus trying to tell you something. You launched the game, you picked your class, you joined a server, you played single player, and you played it. That is it. And honestly, I really miss that. Gaming today feels obsessed with engagement metrics. Battlefield 1 felt obsessed with creating memorable moments. And that's why people still talk about it today. This is why, when we compare Battlefield 1 to modern Battlefield, it feels so much different, night and day, because obviously the differences are obvious. Battlefield 1 knew exactly what it wanted to be. Modern Battlefield often feels confused. Battlefield 1 focused on immersion. Modern Battlefield focuses on content drops. Battlefield 1 focused on atmosphere. Modern Battlefield focused on cosmetics. Battlefield 1 focused on memorable experiences. Modern Battlefield often felt like it was chasing trends. And that's why so many fans still return to Battlefield 1 now, because it feels authentic. I still go back and play multiplayer now and still really, really enjoy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to multiplayer and show you some footage right now. And here we are in a multiplayer game in 2026. And the first thing you notice is you've got horses running past you. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then I remembered this is what Battlefield's about. That chaos, the unknown. I'm going to run around this rock in a minute and there's going to be greeted by a heavily armoured car shooting at me. And you don't get that in any other game. You don't get that in modern Battlefield. You don't get that just unexpected, what is going on. And it really feels like Battlefield has forgot what makes it a Battlefield game. This is where Battlefield 1 became special. It wasn't just a collection of huge maps. It felt like a collection of battlefields. Every map told a story, whether you were fighting across the deserts, like you're seeing here, pushing through muddy trenches, battling through destroyed villages, or storming massive fortresses. Every location felt unique. Most Battlefield maps often feel like arenas. Battlefield 1 maps felt like places where battles had genuinely happened, and that makes a massive difference. Then you get the behemoths rolling through each map. This one's got a train that rolls through, a heavily armored train. It was, seeing it roll through for the first time, I was like, what is going on? It still brings back that this is Battlefield moment. No other game captures Battlefield but Battlefield. And I think that's what they've recently forgot. What makes a Battlefield game? You had operations, and for me, probably one of the greatest mode Battlefield has ever created. Forget battle passes, forget extraction modes, forget all the trends of modern shooters trace. Operations was Battlefield perfection. You had hundreds of players fighting through multiple maps of one giant campaign, attackers pushing forward, defenders desperately holding the line, the front line constantly shifting, moving. It felt like genuinely being part of an actual military offensive. No mode before or since has recreated that feeling for me. Every match felt like a movie. For me, Battlefield 1 wasn't just a great Battlefield game. It wasn't just a great shooter. It was one of the best gaming experiences of its generation. The war stories were memorable, the multiplayer was phenomenal, operations was revolutionary, the atmosphere remains unmatched, the soundtrack was incredible, and nearly a decade later, we're still talking about it. That tells you everything you need to know. Because truly great games don't disappear. They have legacy. Battlefield 1's legacy is simple. It wasn't just another Battlefield game. It was a masterpiece. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to Harry's Gameverse for more gaming retrospects and discussions, and let me know in your comment section what's your favourite Battlefield game of all time and why. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.